camera has gotten worse. Actually, it's a little bit better now. I know that sounds simple. It sounds oversimplified as far as the more you do things in between other things, then the more they add up to how your life is overall. But it is that. That is the simple understanding of how this works. Maybe the camera broke so that I would be forced to look at the lens instead of the thing, and it would give a better presence. I think that's how it works. And that is what it is, but it's within that there's like distortions that make us think other things are in control or other things are running the show and the outcome. And we have to go back and remember that, and we have to think about that. For instance, what you do today is going to amount to what happens tomorrow. Oh, really? All right, well, is it everything that happens tomorrow going to be what you want? Nope. Why? Because what's going on today isn't going to be what you want. So every day you have to remember that. You have to go back and see in your mind through these feedback loops, this self-observation, this detachment, this higher ability to see and look in a way down upon the situation, and kind of through an abstraction or a non-local representation, because what is, your observational self, your source, your perspective, is non-local. It's outside of the biological consciousness that's rooted in this dimension, in this physicality. By definition, if you can go, what's that? You're one step removed from that which you're asking about, that which you're observing, that which you're looking at. Therefore, everything you take the time to observe, in a way analyze, but it's not as in-depth as analyze, it's just pure observation. Every layer that you can observe, you're removing yourself from. And so when you can see all that is happening here biologically, you've become beyond that. You become more than that. But the point is you have to do that every day. It sounds simple. What you do is what you get. Duh. All right? But how often is that equation simply how we interact or how we experience reality, and how we experience and bring forth our control over the situation in basically through our free will. I'm not sure anyone has ever done that, except for maybe one or two people in the ancient past, which is the current present, that 100% of the time they were in control. And this universe is theirs because of the ripples that come off of their aura, their existence changed time forever, opened up all the possibilities that we take for granted. Other than that, we're just like kind of douching around at this point, and this, these abstract, deviated, like derivatives of reality, which is so diluted and retranslated after so many steps of coming away from the purity that was when this place began, that we're all just kind of like walking around in la-la land sleepiness, making more and more discrepancies, distortions, more and more translation errors and problems between what we desire and our free will and what actually happens. We're making more and more labyrinths and getting more and more entangled in this nonsense, this forgetfulness, these personality programs and schemas, that it's almost like everything that's going on today is not going to go on ever again, in the sense that it's not even real. It's not going to be remembered. It's not going to be secured in everything. It's not eternal. It's not rooted in self-awareness, free will, knowledge, and compassion, what is actually here for the soul. It's rooted in forgetfulness, programmed consciousness, memes, secondary reactive behavior, and basically all that which will fall away. And so in that sense, eventually what's real will come around, and when that occurs, what has been going on today is forgotten, because where would it be needed? The only way it would be needed is to realize what had happened and to ensure that that's not going to happen again. That's the purpose of what's going on today, to learn what not to do. So it's like what's going on, if it's not present, the person's not present in the mind and in the feeling, then who's there? Who's doing it? Who's experiencing it? And to break it down, for what I said before, if you're not observing, who's observing you? If you're not beyond acting as this higher dimensional anchor, seeing what's happening, and therefore absorbing from the beginning to the end everything that you are, then how do you exist? In other words, if it's required for a person here to have that higher dimensional anchor making that work, then are you yourself, if you're not aware of who you are here and what you're doing, if you're not that extra dimensional, removed, non-local, pure observational element seeing what's going on here? It means somebody else is on the other side doing that. It means people are actually being motivated by another force. That's why we have all this stuff going on here. People aren't people. They don't realize it. They don't have to know it. It's the whole point. People don't even know when they are people, and they are the angelic. They just think, okay, this is life. Compassion, truth, harmony, self-awareness, free will. No, it's just that's what's normal. And when people come and disrupt that because they see happiness and they're vampiric and they have to, that's how they naturally feed, that's strange. But to the vampires, that's normal. That makes sense to them. The only problem with that is that the ones who are here, not actually, but who are here and so who are here in that observational element, which is self-awareness, which is extra dimensional, they're also there. And the ones who are purely vampiric, who are biological, who are like machines that must transfer their energy physically and continue in this cycle, this Ouroboros, eating cycle, they're not there. They don't have access to that infinite amount of energy, which is just a way of saying there's a little peephole, a little porthole, and it's outside this matrix system. What's out there? Well, everything. So what is it in that little dot of light? Well, it's all the energy of the universe. So it's the source of everything that's in here. It's just we're in a bag, we're in a submarine underwater, and that's a portal shining, the sun's shining through. That's it. It's a ray of light from outside the real world, and we're like, oh, that's the source. It's everything. It's all the power of the universe. It's everything. It's just not contained. It's just a reality that's not contained within this energy matrix system, because it's all about energy. It's all about information, energy, and through that, free will and self-awareness. If a person's free will is disrupted and they're not in control, then who they are and their self-awareness of themselves can get skewered. Then their informational awareness, the contextual data of who they are and how their reality is propagated, comprised of these multiple layers, a hierarchy of like an algorithmic matrix, gets compromised. And then their energy, everything they do, like a transaction, like a generator, like a car going up a hill, their energy is going somewhere where it wasn't going before. All of that ties together to make an energy matrix, and it's literally like it replaces people. It takes people and gets them to embody roles and even archetypes that have nothing to do with who they really are, and it's like wearing masks and having basically a zombie reality. But the point is, the source, the beyond, whatever, it's just a porthole of not in the matrix, and it would look like, if you could see it in this void contained, vampiric energy place zapped of all the energy, if you look out and you see nothing but pure energy, you would think like that's the source, or that's something higher, or that's that. It's just outside the matrix. But the point is, the people who have that observational element, that aspect of being able to maintain a sustained connection to that extra dimensional awareness, which is non-local, meaning it's outside the matrix, they're actually there. They're just projecting themselves here. Those who are unable to see, they're in the automation, etc., they're here. And there's actually no other counterpart outside of it, which is creepy. But if it's the truth, it's the truth. No amount of whining, complaining, twisting, manipulating, rewriting, etc. can change that. You can't take the video game character outside. You can have somebody run an avatar and switch them with the human body that was playing the game, and now the human body's running around with the tether connected to the video game, and the video game character is in that guy's body running around wreaking havoc. But if the game shuts off, that guy shuts off. That's what it is. So, something to think about. A little clarity on the self-awareness, the archetypes, and the time, about how every second throughout the day of the metaphor of time amounts to the minute, and then however many minutes are coded in a certain color frequency amount to an hour, and the majority of the hours of your life that are coded to a certain way, if they're all coalesced, that's who you are in overall. That's that's yourself. But again, to break it down, It's, what you do is what you get. Well, yeah, but the point is, you got to remember. You got to do it every day, and you got to realize all you got to do is it's the same practice as lucid dreaming. You tap a doorway, you do whatever you're doing to put an implant, basically, of the idea in your mind of what to do, how to instigate or invoke this wakefulness. Invoke's kind of a weird word. Well, you do that, but it's not to lucid dream. It's to bring yourself into a state of observation here. Just if you practice that, you'll see the changes. You'll see how sometimes it happens in moments where you're heavily involved in something and you realize it's like something within you is trying to wake you up, and it's like, well, if it's trying to wake me up, but it was me that programmed that into me, that was like requested, like, hey, wake myself up, then who was I when I was woken up? Who got woken up? The imposter, the forgetfulness, the brain's just going along with the day, just doing things. It's weird. It's like a car driving itself. It's a very advanced system, but you're what makes it work. That's the whole point. You're what makes it real, not actual. And so that's the weird interplay. But the idea is, once you see it, it's undeniable. But you got to try to see it. And once you see it, it's weird. And then you can look out and see others that have never done that, never practiced that, never tried, never broke that barrier, never went outside that. And you see that what happens to them is what rules them. That they're controlled by the circumstances and the environment, the chemistry. It becomes plain as day at that point.